Today, we're going to break down a story that sits at this really difficult intersection of viral fame and just devastating tragedy. It's about the musician D4vd and the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Now, this case has been absolutely swamped by online speculation, so what we're going to do here is try to cut through all that noise and give you a clear, factual explainer of what the investigation has actually uncovered so far. And you know, this quote from Hip Hop Canada really hits the nail on the head, because the story has gotten so murky, so clouded by everything happening online. Our goal here is to just present the facts as they've been reported. We're going to move from the world of online rumors into the legal realities of the case. So to really get a handle on this case, you have to understand that there were two stories happening at the same time, running parallel to each other before they collided in the absolute worst way possible. On one side, you have the meteoric rise of a music star, and on the other, the heartbreaking story of a young girl who just vanished. So on one side of this, you've got David Burke, who you probably know as D4vd. At 21, he was a massive breakout star. You know, that song Romantic Homicide blew up on TikTok, and it landed him a huge record deal. But while all that was happening, this whole other story was unfolding. The story of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a 14-year-old from Lake Elsinore, California. In April of 2024, her family reported her missing, and it would turn out to be the final time. So the big question is, how did these two worlds even connect? Well, before the major events of the case really kicked off, a few things had surfaced that suggested there was a link. There were photos of what looked like matching tattoos, messages from a Discord server, and even statements from Celeste's family saying that she had a boyfriend named David. And then, in September of 2025, everything changes. The story takes an incredibly dark turn. What started as just a routine vehicle tow in the Hollywood Hills, well, it led to a horrific discovery that kicked off this massive investigation. Okay, so on September 8th, a worker at a tow yard in Hollywood notices something is seriously wrong. There's this awful smell coming from a Tesla Model Y that had been impounded. So he checks the registration, and it belongs to David Burke, the musician D4vd. The phone call he made to the police that day set everything else in motion. Inside the car's front trunk, what we call the frunk, investigators found something awful. Human remains, severely decomposed, inside a black bag. Authorities later confirmed the body had been dismembered. And here's a crucial detail. The car hadn't just been towed randomly. It had been sitting abandoned on a street for over a month, since late July. After a forensic examination, the victim was identified. It was the missing teenager, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And in just an absolutely heartbreaking detail, the discovery was made just one day after what would have been her 15th birthday. So once Celeste was identified, the entire case shifted gears. It moved out of the court of public opinion, away from the online sleuths, and into the slow, methodical process of the actual legal system. The focus turned to police work, search warrants, and eventually, a grand jury. Let's just walk through the timeline to see how this all unfolded. Celeste goes missing in April 2024. A whole year goes by. Then, July 2025, the Tesla is abandoned. 2 months after that, her body is found. By November, the LAPD officially calls it a murder investigation. And then finally, in April 2026, David Burke is arrested. It really shows you just how long and drawn out this whole thing was. Now, a really key step here was the investigative grand jury. You might be wondering, what is that exactly? Well, think of it like this. It's a secret proceeding where prosecutors present evidence to a group of citizens, and their job is to decide if there's enough there to formally bring criminal charges. This is the moment the case officially moved beyond suspicion and into real, formal, legal territory. Then there was another major move, and a pretty controversial one at that: a secrecy order. The LAPD got a judge to seal the autopsy report. This meant that crucial details, especially the official cause of death, were kept completely hidden from the public. The LAPD said it was to protect the investigation, but it was a move that kept a huge piece of the puzzle under wraps. So you have the discovery, you have the grand jury, you have the sealed evidence, and it all leads to this single dramatic moment: the arrest of David Burke on April 16, 2026, followed by the announcement of some extremely serious charges. The arrest itself was pretty direct. David Burke was taken into custody on suspicion of murder. He was booked into a Los Angeles jail, and, this is important, he is being held without bail. That's a big deal. It tells you just how seriously the court is taking these allegations. So let's break down the official charges, because they are incredibly severe. First up, first-degree murder. Second, lewd acts with a minor under 14, which points to an alleged sexual component to this case. And third, mutilation of a body, which is tied to the condition in which Celeste's remains were found. But it doesn't even stop there. On top of those charges, prosecutors added what are called special circumstances. These are factors that, if they can be proven, could make Burke eligible for the death penalty. They allege he was lying in wait, that there was a motive of financial gain. Basically, they're arguing he killed Celeste to protect his music career, and that it was a murder of a witness to stop her from testifying about the alleged sexual acts. So, with the arrest made and these heavy charges on the table, the story moved into a whole new phase. The fallout in the music industry was immediate, and you could start to see the battle lines being drawn for the court case to come. And when I say the fallout was immediate, I mean it was almost instantaneous. Professionally, the doors just slammed shut. His world tour was canceled. Big-name collaborators like Kali Uchis and Laffy pulled their songs. His music was scrubbed from the Madden NFL 26 soundtrack, and he got dropped from a major festival. Basically, the music industry put his career on ice, just like that. So this is really where things stand right now, with two completely opposite stories heading for a courtroom. On one side, you have the prosecution, who allege Burke murdered Celeste to silence her and protect his career, and they're going for the death penalty. On the other side, the defense's position is an absolute denial. His lawyers say it plainly. He did not kill her, and he was not the cause of her death. That last part is key. It suggests their strategy might be to argue that the prosecution can't even prove a specific cause of death. You know, this whole case is just such a stark reminder of that tension between what people are saying online and the legal principle of innocent until proven guilty. As this whole thing moves forward, away from the noise of social media and into a courtroom, the central question really remains, what does justice for Celeste Rivas Hernandez truly look like? And how will we know when it's been achieved?